Hello, my name is Matt Bird, and welcome to the PublishU podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today I'm talking to Catriona Dejean from Brighton, who has written a book of poetry called Unfolding. Welcome, Catriona.
Hi, Matt. It's great to see you. Great to be here.
Now, this is your first book. This is now your second book. I always say at the beginning of the Writing My Book course, this can become positively addictive. Once you realize how achievable it is to write one book, you actually might get the bug and write more than one. And Catriona, congratulations. This is your second book, but it's a little bit different than the first, to say the least.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, no, my second book, I never thought I would even write one book. So to have written a second one is quite amazing. And yeah, it's I guess come out of a slightly unusual story and chapter in my life. And I was encouraged to kind of write it down. And I
Yeah,
think it's been really helpful for process what's
yeah.
happened over this past year.
Yeah. So you've written a book of poetry. Have you ever written poetry before this particular time in your life?
No, not really. I remember writing poems at school, having to do poetry exercises
Oh
and
gosh,
learning
don't we
poems
all?
and and doing A-level English, so reading lots and lots of different poems, from very old to very modern. But no, never actually having written anything, but for some reason I just felt
Oh,
very inspired to write some poems.
incredible, incredible. So, Katrina, tell us about what is it that's happened in your life this last year that's been so significant and has triggered this expression, this self-expression through poetry. What is it that's happened?
Yeah, so this past year has been quite an interesting year. 2024 presented lots of interesting challenges for myself and my family, from various bereavements, grief, changes in our family life and in our work life, and also I had a difficult health diagnosis. So that was a real shock for me, and it was suddenly something that just came out of the blue. And so last year was very much about navigating a lot of that, navigating the health diagnosis and walking a very uncertain path. And really, the poetry was. It didn't really. I haven't really written it until towards the end of that journey of around my health situation, and it was almost as a result of many months of processing, I think, and as you say, that expression of what's happened. So I wanted to be able to write something that wasn't, well, I hope it's not too kind of downbeat, but there's hope in there as well, that even in the difficult times, in the storm, and the uncertainty, there is hope and there is joy, and it's really important to embrace
Yeah,
the situation, even if it's very difficult.
yeah. When you first received your diagnosis and sat there with the doctor, what were your first emotions?
I think it was, are you sure? Can this really be the case? It was, I guess, a sense of shock, but also um, there was a sort of sense of relief as well. I maybe this fact I hadn't been feeling too well, and suddenly it was like, oh, maybe that's why. And so a whole range of emotions really, and I think that's really what's significant of this time, the emotions that you have to handle and balance and walk with and sit with, and you have to embrace it. If you don't, they often talk about fighting a particular situation, but I think it's more about embracing, because you have to survive it and walk through it. And if you fight something, sometimes you don't get to learn about those different emotions as well. So yeah, I think it's been a whole, yeah, from the first point of hearing the news, there's been a whole range of emotions.
Yeah. And it's an interesting phrase you don't get the opportunity to learn new emotions. What new emotions did you learn through your
Yeah,
journey?
gosh, that's a great one. I think, yeah, I mean, even just the word unfolding, the name of the book. So at the very start of this chapter of my life, I sat down with a friend and shared with her what was going on, and she said to me, this will be a period of unfolding. And at the time I was like, what does that really mean? And she said, embrace it, kind of things will unfold in different ways. And I think it was at that point, it was like, okay, I'm going to have to learn to sit with grief. I'm going to have to learn to kind of sit with the joy that I see in every day. I'm going to have to learn to sit with being patient and not just sit with it, but work with that and work out how I'm going to live my life now in this period in a different way. And also as I emerge from this particular period, my body is still adapting, and so there are still new emotions that I'm exploring. And so I think every day there's a different sort of emotion and expression that I have to sort of understand and understand what my response is to that.
Yeah. It's incredible that, in an adult stage of life, we can learn new emotions, new depths of
Mm.
emotions. And did the poetry you've written, did it help you learn those emotions? I mean, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I think what the poems really helped me to do was express some of the kind of the maybe it was the grief, the sadness, but in writing them, it was also trying to flip it into, and what is the hopeful thing that has come out of this? What is the positive? So I think it really helps me to explore different types of emotions. So there's one poem which is called My Name is Joy, and it's all around find joy in the everyday. It's not
Yeah,
just don't wait for Christmas, don't wait for the great big holiday or something like that, but there's joy every day. And another friend and colleague many years ago gave the expression, sprinkles of joy. There's sprinkles of joy in the everyday. And I think I really tried to take that into this season of like, I can't really control what's going on here. And this is really, it's difficult. I feel sad, I feel angry, but where is the joy? What are the things that keep my soul happy and keep me wanting to continue this walk? And so, yeah, I think that from the actual writing, I don't know, it was just, I was able to get some of those feelings out and process them, and the words just seemed to flow, when I was writing. So
yeah,
yeah, it was a really, really interesting process in itself.
yeah, incredible.
Mm.
Katrina, I wonder if you'd read us one of your poems. I mean, obviously we're all going to rush out and buy the book. Um, I can't wait to read them all. I've had some insights. I've got an inside track, but it's yeah. Read us a poem. Bring us on the journey with you.
Okay, great. I thought I'd read you the last poem actually. So it's called Beauty from Ashes. Okay. So when you've been knocked down, beaten by life's harsh blows, when the weight of past wrongs gnaw at your soul and mind, yet from this hope emerges, like a bird taking flight to the sky, like a slate wiped fresh and pure, like broken pottery mended with gold, like a flower blossoming once more. When you choose to believe, renewal is within reach. Beauty from ashes, arise stronger, dear friend.
Mm, wow, thank you. I mean, these poems, they're profoundly personal, Katrina, aren't they? I mean, did you hesitate about wanting to publish them? Did you think, oh, these are just a gift for me? So, how did you feel about even thinking in your own mind about publishing them? I mean,
Mm.
what was that journey?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wrote them, and then I shared them with a few friends, and just a few of them just to see if they resonated, and they seem to resonate, and I seem to get some good encouragement, and people say, no, you should really share these. And I think they are deeply personal, and at this point I'm sort of like, oh gosh, this is a bit scary, but I think because the way I tried to write them, I hope I've written them, is that there's wisdom in there for others as well. So there's some very personal kind of experiences that I've gone through, and particular, situations which I've tried to write about, but hopefully done it in a way that people can draw from that. And really for others who are on some kind of uncertain path, whether that's a health diagnosis, whether that's, maybe loss of a job or grief or something like that, where, there's just some nugget of insight or wisdom. And I think what's really helped me over this past year is hearing other stories, hearing other people sharing what's worked for them, or what's, how they've coped with this situation. And I think the power of the story, whether that's in a book, a kind of a novel, or whether that's in poetry, I think it is so powerful that we, you know, I wanted to be able to share some of this, even though it feels, yeah, quite quite vulnerable in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when you sent me one of the early poems you wrote, because of something I was facing. It was profoundly helpful.
Mm,
Um, just beginning sometimes to put words to things because we struggle.
mm.
I struggle sometimes to put words to things. That's quite something, isn't it, Matt Bird? Struggles to find the words. But poetry has an incredible way of communicating the heart and deep feelings. So your hope, Katrina, in this book now published, globally available, you know, do you expect to hear from lots of people who read these poems and are helped?
Yeah, I hope it does help people in different places, and that people can draw from it what they need to draw from it. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how wide and far it goes, and who picks it up.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the response to your new book unfolding. And can I ask, Katrina, as we close, is there another book on the horizon? I mean, this is your second in the second year. Are there other writings, bubbling up within you?
I think at this moment, no, but you should never say no, I guess. And I don't know. Yeah, I haven't felt inspiration at this point to write anything else. But let's see what comes from this book, and from my first book as well. And that's still, I'm still trying to get that out, and that's called Leading Edge. And yeah, I haven't really been able to do as much with that, unfortunately, because of it was published last June. And so I think, there's still some good things to do with these two, but things progress from that, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Well, thank you, Katrina, and thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast featuring the real life stories of authors from around the world. If you're interested in becoming an author like Katrina, please do contact us at www.publishu, the letter u.com. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure you subscribe for more now. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye.